Wednesday, September 6th, 2023, AGNDD Intellireport topic. Availability heuristic. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this entirely AI-generated Wikipedia-sourced video article.
Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman's research challenged the idea of humans as rational decision-makers, introducing the concept of heuristics and biases. One such bias is the availability heuristic, where judgments are based on easily recalled examples. Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman conducted research in the late 1960s and early 1970s that challenged the idea of humans as rational actors in decision-making. They introduced the concept of heuristics and biases, suggesting that people often rely on mental shortcuts such as the availability heuristic when making judgments under uncertainty. The availability heuristic is the tendency to base judgments on easily recalled examples. However, the underlying process and the accuracy of judgments based on this heuristic are still debated. Chapman, 1967, discovered a bias in how people judge the frequency of events occurring together. This bias, known as illusory correlation, occurs when people overestimate the frequency of paired events. Tversky and Kahneman proposed that this bias is due to the availability heuristic, where people judge the frequency of events based on how easily they can recall instances of those events. They conducted studies that supported the availability heuristic, showing that people tend to overestimate the frequency of events that are more easily recalled or perceived as more available. Researchers have explored the psychological processes behind the availability heuristic. Tversky and Kahneman suggest that people infer the frequency of events based on the number of examples recalled from memory. Schwartz and colleagues proposed that the ease of retrieving examples rather than the number influences judgments. Vaughan's research shows that individuals are more likely to use the availability heuristic when uncertain about their performance, relying on the ease of recalling study methods to predict their grades. Media coverage can influence people's perception of the likelihood of certain events. The media tends to focus on sensational and unusual events such as homicides or shark attacks, while giving less coverage to more common causes of death, like diseases or car accidents. This can lead people to overestimate the likelihood of these sensational events. Additionally, exposure to vivid, violent media can increase people's perception of crime and violence in the real world. However, the effects of media on risk perception may vary and can be influenced by new information. Researchers conducted a study to examine the role of cognitive heuristics in the AIDS risk assessment process. They found that the availability of AIDS information did not strongly influence perceived risk. In a separate study, participants were asked to diagnose hypothetical patients based on their symptoms. The participants tended to choose the more common or publicized diseases such as influenza or AIDS, demonstrating the availability heuristic at play. The availability heuristic plays a role in financial markets as investors tend to rely on easily accessible information rather than considering all relevant factors. This can lead to biased decision-making and hinder investment success. The availability heuristic also affects ethical decision-making in organizations, as people are influenced by the perceived moral acceptability of others. Overall, the availability heuristic can impact investment decisions and ethical behavior. A study conducted by Craig R. Fox examined how availability heuristics can affect judgment in the classroom. The study involved two groups of college students completing a course evaluation form. One group was asked to write 2 recommended improvements and 2 positive comments, while the other group was asked to write 10 improvement suggestions and 2 positive comments. The results showed that the group with the more difficult task rated the course less harshly, as it was harder for them to recall negative information. Another study on children's memory also supported the availability heuristic theory. The media's focus on violent and extreme cases influences public perception and can impact the judicial system's evaluation of punishment. Studies have shown that people recall stories with severe harm more easily, leading to a preference for harsher punishments. However, this information is often incomplete and non-representative of the majority of cases. When given the opportunity to act as judges, participants gave similar sentences to actual judges, suggesting that the information they recalled was not accurate. Additionally, the order in which a witness lies or tells the truth can influence jurors' perception of their credibility. Previous research has shown that explaining a hypothetical event can make it seem more likely by creating causal connections. However, this effect may be due to the availability heuristic, where subjective likelihood is influenced by how easily an event can be imagined. In a study, participants were asked to choose between stroke and asthma as the disease more likely to cause death. The researchers found that participants' perceptions depended on their available experiences, such as knowing someone who died from a particular disease. 2 studies examined the impact of vivid information on social judgment and the role of the availability heuristic in mediating vividness effects. In Study 1, participants listened to a description of a woman and made judgments about her fitness as a parent. The use of concrete and colorful language influenced these judgments. In Study 2, participants were shown photographs alongside names and made estimates about the proportion of students from different universities. The presence of photographs affected these estimates, but the availability heuristic did not play a role in the judgment process. The availability heuristic is a cognitive bias where people rely on the ease with which examples or instances come to mind when making judgments about frequency or probability. This bias can lead to systematic errors in judgment. Factors such as repetition, co-occurrence, and exemplars can influence the availability heuristic. For example, if certain instances are repeated or co-occur frequently, they are more likely to be recalled and influence judgments. Similarly, memorable exemplars, such as seeing a shark in the ocean, can impact judgments of probability. The Schwartz et al. Study criticized the original availability heuristic model by highlighting the importance of ease of recall in determining the availability of concepts. This criticism has been repeated in subsequent studies, suggesting that ease of recall has become an integral aspect of the availability heuristic. Critics argue that the availability heuristic is not solely based on ease of recall, but also on how we categorize and process information in our memory. This suggests that the representative heuristic may play a role in decision-making. Some researchers claim that classic studies on the availability heuristic fail to account for underlying mental processes. Additionally, recent research suggests that our working memory can access long-term memories, allowing for more accurate probability judgments beyond frequency estimation. In conclusion, the research conducted by Tversky and Kahneman challenged the notion of human rationality in decision-making. They introduced the concept of heuristics and biases, particularly the availability heuristic, which suggests that people often rely on mental shortcuts when making judgments. The accuracy of judgments based on this heuristic is still a topic of debate. Additionally, they discovered the illusory correlation bias, where people overestimate the frequency of paired events, which they attributed to the availability heuristic. Overall, their studies supported the idea that people tend to overestimate the frequency of events that are more easily recalled or perceived as more available.
Thank you for watching this AGND Intellireport. Like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.